and no one can see what's going on. Through their own words, they will be exposed.
Hi everybody, I'm Gary High Fruit, and today I'm going to mix some food with politics. Check out this debate on CNN.
Our guests are debating Michelle Obama's new food labels.
It is a legitimate concern to worry about the health of the American people. Michelle Obama has done all of us a favor by starting a conversation about nutrition. But the food labels she unveiled today are nothing more than symbolic liberalism.
We're overhauling these labels to make them easier to read and understand.
We've been ignoring government labels for 23 years. So now we're going to spend an immense amount of money on a multi-year process to rearrange the information, make it larger, and add even more that you'll never read or use, because it makes liberals feel good. It is pure symbolism.
Actually, it's not symbolic at all. It makes us liberals thinner, and that's our secret trick to living longer and then winning more elections. Obesity accounts for as much as $146 billion in healthcare costs in this country. And from my perspective, that makes it not just a personal issue, right? This is an issue that affects all of us, certainly as taxpayers. Don't you think there's some government responsibility to do something about this crisis?
Well, first of all, there's always been thin people and there's always been fat people. And now what you're suggesting is because we have Obamacare and the government is now saying that it's our responsibility to keep everybody healthy, they can then bootstrap themselves into telling people what to do to stay healthy.
Wait a second. Wait, this isn't a new thing. When I was a kid, George W. Bush, we all exercised. We had to exercise with Arnold Schwarzenegger. This is nothing new.
So exercise is fine. I don't have a problem with that. But when you start to do the things that we're now hearing from Michelle Obama, when you start to hear people saying we're going to control what you eat, as opposed to encouraging people to exercise, you're going to a bridge too far. We're either going to control the availability of foods, we're going to tax certain foods, we're going to sue people because they're selling certain foods. That's the bridge too.
Science has evolved a little bit. It's time to emphasize some nutrients, take a few off.
You're going to a bridge too far. You're going to a bridge too far. You're going to a bridge too far.
Rick wants to make it sound like the government is going to come storming into your home and take the Doritos out of your cupboard. And
The government can come storming into your home.
There is no safe seat at the feast. Take your best stab at the beast. Night is living thin. Your saint is turning for sin.
The government can come storming into your home.
not to take your Doritos.
Well, there was an Amish farmer who created a buying group very similar to the Dallas Buyers Club for whole milk. It's legal to sell whole milk.
Raw milk.
The whole point of the movie is, here's a guy who's about to die, who wants to take some vitamins, who's told by the FDA he can't take them because they might be dangerous for his health.
It's a nutrition program.
You know, at the end of the day, forgetting school lunches for a minute, what we're talking about here is whether or not it's the government or people like Margot, whose group represents. We're talking about people who are trying to control other people's behaviors, other people's desires, other people's choices.
But about 1 in 6 people reduce their calorie intake in a fast food lunch by about 100 calories. From a public health standpoint, that makes a difference.
Let me ask you a question. We've
100 calories in a day. 100 calories in a day.
The whole obesity epidemic.
Childhood obesity has gone down by 43% for the first time in history. That is a result of these things. Certainly not the opposite of these things.
It's certainly not the result of those labels.
You're going to give the credit to Coca-Cola?
No, well, actually, Coca-Cola voluntarily pulled a lot of sodas out of schools.
After we sued them.
Well, no.
We've had these particular labels for 23 years. Obesity's gotten worse. Now, let me give you an example.
But that started.
Let me give you an example of why I distrust this, though. This is Chunky Monkey 1 pint. In the original version for 20 years, the U.S. government told you that a serving of this was 1/4 of a pint. The number of Americans who ever got a pint and ate 1/4. And I will say, the FDA is about to become a little bit more honest because they're now saying it's actually 2 servings. vitamin A and vitamin C were vital. For 20 years, our government told us they were vital. They're apparently dropping them in the new proposal.
No, they're still essential nutrients, but people are getting enough vitamin A and C that they're not the most important thing to list.
67% of Americans want to show calories at chain restaurants. 55% want to ban unhealthy food ads for kids. Rick, you're trying to paint the American people as not wanting this. They do want. When I ask Rick just how hands-off he wants the government to be when it comes to our health, do we want smoking for 11-year-olds or drunk driving, anyone? The food industry spends $30 million a year lobbying for unhealthy investments just like this. In fact, a lot of those investments are from companies like Coca-Cola, Tyson Foods, Arby's, companies, sir, that you are a lobbyist for the food corporations that would be hurt by the kinds of nutrition policies Michelle Obama is promoting.
First of all,
are you putting those corporate interests ahead of the public interest?
I do believe that consumers are entitled to make their own choices. Now, if it turns out that somebody wants to drink a Coke or wants to drink a Pepsi or wants to buy a hamburger at Arby's, it's fine. If they want to eat too much of it, they're going to do themselves want. That it's the capitalistic system, it's the free market system, it's the American system, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Those companies, some of the companies you represent, are purposefully trying to push unhealthier food options on the American public, and we end up paying the cost of that in healthcare costs.
I don't know what you... There is nothing unhealthy about a soft drink. There is nothing unhealthy about a hamburger. But that's a personal responsibility issue as to whether or not you're going to abuse a product. It's okay to drink alcohol as long as you don't abuse it. It's okay to smoke a cigar as long as you're not smoking them all day long.
Margot?
But Rick wants to make it sound as if the food companies don't have policies themselves. The real nutrition nanny in this country are Coke, Pepsi, McDonald's. The food companies' policies and practices have more impact on how much people eat and what people eat than the government by far. The government, at least when they adopt a policy, they put it out for public comment. There's a vote in the Congress. The people have some say. But corporate policies, practices, promotions are pushing people, upselling huge portions that people didn't eat 50 years ago.
So this is like people are morons, and because Coca-Cola wants to sell them a drink, Coca-Cola wants to sell them a drink, that these morons are going to buy it even though they don't want it.
How can you make an informed choice? How can you make an informed choice without information?
Let me ask you a question.